Will the United States help India with its program of foreign aid? Or is the United States exploiting India? Is Nehru the enemy of the caste system in India, or the agent of caste and privilege? Are present world leaders of the Afro-Asian nations appealing for universal justice, or are they exploiting their own peoples for personal advantage? In a moment, you can hear answers to these and other questions from a prominent Indian socialist. This is Hal Kaufman in Santa Barbara. In October of 1961, a party from the Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions journeyed to Athens, Greece, to take part in a seminar on world order and freedom. Scholars from many nations participated. One of them was Rama Manohar Lohia, leader of the Socialist Party of India. Mr. Lohia was kind enough to permit me to interview him for Pacifica, although we were so pressed by the tight schedule of the seminar that we had to hold our conversation at breakfast in Mr. Lohia's hotel room. I began by referring to a statement Mr. Lohia had made during the seminar session on the previous day. That session had been devoted to the problem of economic disparities among nations. Mr. Lohia said that the terms of trade were such that despite American foreign aid, the United States took more from India than it gives back as grants or loans. I asked him to explain.
Industrial prices have been rising much faster than agricultural prices in the post-war period. That has been so for nearly 2 centuries now, because industry is able to dictate its terms while agriculture cannot. Furthermore, there are all kinds of other means whereby the industrialized countries can exploit the agricultural countries. Not only the terms of trade which go in favor of industry as against agriculture, but say the rate of interest.
You made a point about the relative value of labor in terms of exchange in each of the two countries. And as I recall, you said 1 hour of labor in the United States was exchanged for 20 hours of labor in India. And this, you pointed out, was not because Indian workers work less hard or because they have no skill or talent, but simply because of the productive apparatus. The machinery and tools and electric plants and other things. And you said because of this difference, foreign trade could never be mutually beneficial to India and the United States. But isn't it true, even though foreign trade might not be mutually beneficial, that what American aid is given to India is in some way a redress of that imbalance? Perhaps not altogether. At least it is not as, we are not treating you as badly as we would if there were no foreign aid. Is this correct?
I would attach such an importance to the trickle of money that goes out as foreign aid in the background of the enormous exploitation that is going on, not only as between you and the 2/3 of the world, also the exploitation that is going on internally in India as between the tiny 1% minority against the rest of the population. All this aid is nothing at all.
Now this tiny 1% of India, this is the owning percentage, the people who own things, the people who make good salaries and so forth. This is 4 or 5 million people
That's
in
right.
India.
All of them together.
All together.
The bureaucrats, the bourgeois, the leaders, everybody who is anybody in the country, I include in the tiny minority, and that comes to about 5 million people.
These, I think you call the big people.
The English educated ones. Most of them. The high caste, the rich, the middle class.
Now, It's often said that the difference between an advanced country and an undeveloped or less developed country is the existence of a large middle class, large relative to the very rich and the very poor. Does this seem true to you for India, or would you like to see India become a country without class?
I would like to see the whole world without class and without caste. Class and caste are two different propositions, although two different situations of perhaps a single human condition. Caste is ossified class, and class is mobile caste. That is all the difference between the two. We have naturally had caste in a far more rigid manner than any other country of the world, but other countries have had caste-like characteristics. You are perhaps the most mobile of the Western countries, but you too have beginnings of caste.
We have not only class, you're saying, but the beginnings of caste. Yes. I wish you'd explain that. I'm afraid I still don't understand what you mean when you say we have the beginnings of caste. You say caste is ossified class. You mean some people are becoming bureaucrats by caste, and their children are automatically bureaucrats also?
Right. That is one characteristic. Another, that the entire national output is divided among various classes of the population in more or less static manner. The ratios stay the same.
I can imagine, at least, a caste problem in the United States, but I believe it is different. I think it is connected with the technological revolution. The technical elites we are developing.
No, you better keep it separate from that.
Fine.
This technological revolution is nothing at all in the background of the entire human race, and we have been having this caste and class problem throughout. This is like original sin.
People do this wherever they are.
Wherever they are.
And you are saying you want a world that does not have this. And yet you're saying it's a human characteristic.
It has been so hitherto. That doesn't mean that we shall have it ever. I mean, that is like saying that human being will always be the sad, mean little creature that he has so far been. We might change, we should change. And when I say that you are beginning for the caste system, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you are like India. The Indian caste system is horrid. We've had it now for over 30 centuries and 15 centuries in a very ossified manner. One of the big reasons why we are so poor, so diseased, so backward, and we haven't revolted against internal tyrants is this caste system. Because 90% of the population are so submerged economically and socially, culturally, mentally, that they can't revolt.
Your party, the Socialist Party in India, is the opposition to the Congress Party.
That's right.
Or at least part of the opposition to the Congress Party.
It is the only opposition. The rest of them are in league with the Congress Party. They are, like, you have your wrestling matches.
Yes.
Where the two contestants have decided beforehand as to who will win that particular encounter. That kind of thing.
You must have then an alternative program to the program of Mr. Nehru's Congress Party.
Oh, definitely.
Does this program foresee a way to move away from the caste system more rapidly than Mr. Nehru does?
Mr. Nehru cannot, does not, will not abolish caste. He is an agent of the caste system, like any other high caste, middle class Indian. He wants to abolish caste through a system of preferential opportunities for the retarded castes, the backward castes. He is for equality of opportunity, as every other Indian political party is, bar mine. I want preferential opportunities all round. That is, the highest offices in the land, the highest business, the highest political office, the highest governmental office. Among these offices, the backward caste must have their preferential opportunities.
You are saying if there were two men who were to be thought of as possibilities to be prime minister, the one from the lower caste should have the preference.
Provided both of them belonged to the same party.
Yes.
But if the party were better, one party were better than the other, I would not put that criterion.
What are the economic aspects of the socialist program for India? I gather you feel there is a strong connection between the economic disparities and the political and social disparities.
In the first place, we wish to abolish private property.
Altogether?
Except such as does not employ labor.
So that people would own houses?
One house, yes.
Yes. A man would own his house, his typewriter.
That, of course.
His television set.
That, of course, and even such plots of land as he and his family can work out without employing labor. Or such machinery. I mean, you talk of your technological revolution. If you are able to invent machines which a family can work without employing labor, that would be all right.
But all people who employed labor would be public officials. That is to say, the state, the government, the people taken all together would own all the means of producing through employment.
But I would like you to think of the state not as a single block, but as a composite of various blocks on the village, district, state, and national level. These are the four levels I've been talking about in the past few years. The four-pillar state, that is how I've called it. I'd like to add a fifth dimension, and that is the World Assembly.
Then let us take a village as an example. The village altogether would own the land that each man could not work by himself.
The village could also own certain items of industry.
What would be an example of a village industry? A textile producing arrangement?
Perhaps, yes. Certainly hand looms, also power looms, processing of fruit, for instance. But this is all kind of projecting into a future I know nothing about. I mean, the basic idea is that we give to the village and the district whatever we can, and we keep for the center and the state whatever we must.
Your program is not a program of resisting industrialization or mechanization, then?
No, I don't think so, except that I'm a little suspicious of large-scale mass-producing industry. But in view of what is happening in the world, I would say this: we want large-scale mass-producing industrialization wherever necessary, and small unit machine wherever possible.
In talking to Kripalani and to members of the constructive workers group in the past, I've noticed that there is a kind of suspicion of the large-scale producing unit as if somehow or other it was automatically evil. Kripalani told me last year, for instance, we don't want any big factories because big factories make slums. I said, I don't see why big factories make slums. Men make slums, and they could have a big factory and
that is right. That is correct. I wouldn't say that big factories make for certain rotten economic conditions. They make for certain rotten mental conditions. They do not enable man to live in freedom. The processes of industry and governance become so complex that it becomes impossible for the ordinary man to comprehend them or to operate on them. It's perfectly clear that countries with big industry and the biggest, like yours, are very much better by way of slums than those that haven't any industry. We have too many slums, far more than any that you have. Out of about 85 million houses in India, I should say over 30 or 40 million would be slums. The other half, in terms of what you would call a slum and a good house, barring perhaps 1 million houses, the rest would be slums. So the whole country is a slum. So it's perfectly stupid to say that big industry automatically causes slums. What it does cause is a certain situation in which the mind of man becomes crippled. It is small. It cannot operate on the situation in which it lives.
Is this because the work that is done by a man in a big factory is specialized work, narrow work, so that he does not broaden his mind to think of the whole problem of production and the whole problem of himself in relation to the state?
That's right. That's one big reason, but there are several others. The processes are so many and manifold that even if he had a very good liberal education, he wouldn't be able to control them or understand them.
Then you would say the United States is full of people with crippled minds.
I should say, barring folks like you, everybody is crippled.
I think that you are being very generous to me, Mr. Lohia. The problem I see in the United States, and a problem that concerns me very much and all of us at the Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions, is the one that no man can understand enough of the whole process to come to any sense of how to control it. But this seems to me a direct, inevitable concomitant of the complex processes of production, the interdependence of everything on everything else, so that each man feels somewhat alone and helpless before the machine, this enormous, complicated production machine. This is why I say, how are you going to have those necessary big industries, which would certainly be electric power, transportation, the chemical industries, all of the energy industries, really, and then in addition probably the extractive industries. You can't have a little mine, it doesn't make sense. The big metalworking industries,
today doesn't make sense. When I talk of a small unit machine, I'm thinking of all kinds of possibilities that might open up to us. You have a very adventurous mind in regard to large-scale industry. You are prepared to contemplate any kind of thing happening. Why can't you contemplate that with atomic energy and such like, man may be able to invent machines which are very highly productive, but which can be operated by himself and his family. Small unit machines. I did not mean cottage industry, unequipped with electricity and the like. I would like to have a small unit machine which is propelled by some kind of power, electricity or atomic power or hydrogen power, or which is this megaton power, whatever you call it. Mm-hmm. So that the thing that I have in mind is more modern than the current practices. I do not go back to the past, but latterly I have begun feeling that all this is somewhat idealistic. I had a young American ask me a question at an audience which was very lively out there, where was it? In a rural audience. How do you release the materialist bull once you have him by the horn? Mm-hmm. I cannot give an answer, satisfactory answer. I am stunned. All that I can say is that is my desire. Whatever might be the processes of technology and industry, I should like, through human will, to impose on them a certain pattern.
So I know you have visited the United States, and fairly recently, if I'm not mistaken.
51.
51. So you know more or less what we are like there.
Oh, even before visiting you, I knew who you were. I knew you through Jefferson, through Lincoln, also through Washington, and when I was young, folks like Henry Ford also impressed me for their philosophy of buying dear and selling cheap, which to all businessmen of his time appeared a lunacy, and he proved that that was the correct thing to do. So all that impressed me. Right from my 9th or 10th year. I presumably know as much of your history as you do.
Then, would you think that the United States should become a socialist country in your definition of it?
Oh, most definitely. There is no other intelligent choice for any country in the world. But when you say socialist, please remember that I do not include violence or any foreign policy patterns which would combine one group of countries against another.
You are talking about the world as a whole, adopting a socialist program for the ownership and control of the means of production.
That's right. And other things too.
For
instance, relationship between man and woman. This relationship has been soured throughout history. It's very bad in my country too. Man has been expecting of woman two contradictory things. One, that she should be lively, beautiful, and the other, that he should be in utter control of her. Now that is impossible. You can have one or the other. Now, various other things, for instance, color, skin color, has so far been understood in very narrow terms. I was a fool too until about 21 years old. I thought a fair color was more beautiful than dark color. I have now begun to see that it's the figure, the cut of the face, the smoothness of the texture of skin rather than its color which determine beauty. But all this has come about because of the political complexion. The white races have dominated this world for about 300 years. That is why the fair color has captured people's imagination. The higher castes in India are, generally speaking, a little fairer. I wouldn't say white or, your kind. I'd say little lighter of skin than the backward castes. That has also determined this attitude towards color.
So it is the power and prestige of the imposing or dominating figures in the world that makes us see the beauty as we see it. Is that your point?
That's right. The mind directs the eyes to see what they shall.
I think you were saying we are captives, both in India and in the United States, of the impersonal arrangements of economic forces, political forces, historical forces. Do you feel hopeful or hopeless about all this? Take your country. You were saying in our meeting that the average person who works on a farm is getting what amounts to 5 cents a day. Am I right?
10 to 20 cents a day, but if it were worked out for the family as a whole, it might come to less than 5 cents a day.
Right.
That is one person. 5 cents, yes, you're correct.
And the street sweeper or the man in the city in the low-paid job, perhaps a little more, the skilled job in the city, still only a matter of 20 or 30 cents a day.
That's right.
The situation seems desperate to me. You have 4 or 5 million people out of 430 million who have what you would say is even a decent standard of living, these people have crippled minds. They do not believe in the right kind of relationship between themselves and their fellows. They do not believe in their ability to control the productive processes and to make a decent life for themselves and others.
And they are brought up in that tradition of dominance. They are not even aware of the fact that they are exploiting and dominating their country. For instance, they wish to keep the English language. I like the English language. I've liked English poetry very much. I've also liked your novelists like Theodore Dreiser, who may not be anything much now to you, but was quite a great deal to me.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. But then this English language has become an instrument of exploitation and domination in the hands of this 1% over the rest. Because everything is done through the English language. Law courts, universities, government offices, they're all run through the English medium. The mass of the population knows nothing about it. And so the exploitation goes on merrily. Cosmopolites, you know.
Yes.
This is one thing which you folks have to understand. There is no universalism in the world today. There is cosmopolitanism. The bureaucrats, the bourgeois, and the leaders of the world are tending to unite together. And universalists like Mahatma Gandhi are very rare, who said the peoples of the world should unite. They are very rare. Marx was also a universalist of a somewhat distorted kind. I mean, he did many wrong things, but anyway he said, and he tried to work that scheme out, workers of the world unite. Mm-hmm. That universalism is gone. You're dealing with Afro-Asian statesmen who are out and out cosmopolites, and whether they know it or not, they are pests. They are exploiting their country, dominating their country. They are trying to transform themselves into specimens of American and European, what should I say, Max Factor kind of, you know.
Yes. Now
our dreams also.
Now these cosmopolites are trying to adopt the fashion of the dominating leaders.
All the world over. Some kind of a uniformity is coming about, and unless you're very careful, your professors and your political scientists and sociologists might mistake this uniformity among the top folks of the world for uniformity throughout the world.
You see, everything you say makes me feel that the problem is even worse than it is.
Oh, of course it is. It's a very desperate problem. But I have one hope. And now come to the hope.
Good.
And this is that the 20th century is carrying out all the struggles against tyranny and injustice at the same time. Some kind of a climaxing has taken place. Whether we succeed or not is more than I can say. But all kinds of struggles. Struggles against sex inequality. Struggles against color inequality. Struggles against political slavery. Struggles against economic inequality. Struggles against weapons. I have named a few of them. They are all taking place at the same time. I would like to add another struggle. Struggle for privacy against excessive or unmerited encroachment by any kind of authority, the state or anybody. Organization, political organizations also encroach on peoples. I find that a very bad kind of encroachment on the liberty of the citizen. Now all these struggles are taking place all at the same time.
You see, everything you say just makes me feel that the problem is even worse than it is.
Of course it is. It's a very desperate problem. But I have one hope. And now come to the hope.
Good.
And this says that the 20th century is carrying out all the struggles against tyranny and injustice at the same time. Some kind of a climaxing has taken place. Whether we succeed or not is more than I can say. But all kinds of struggles. Struggles against sex inequality. Struggles against color inequality. Struggles against political slavery. Struggles against economic inequality. Struggles against weapons. I have named a few of them. They are all taking place at the same time. I would like to add another struggle. Struggle for privacy against excessive or unmerited encroachment by any kind of authority, the state or anybody. Organization, political organizations also encroach on peoples. I find that a very bad kind of encroachment on the liberty of the citizen. Now all these struggles are taking place all at the same time. And man seems to be in revolt against all kinds of injustices. This has never happened before. This is the first time that man is trying to work out his freedom against all kinds of tyrannies. If he succeeds, well, our century might well prove to be the best we have had so far. And I would try to put a variation on Lincoln's government of the people, for the people, and what was it? By the people. That he called democracy. That is correct as far as it goes. But add two more dimensions to it. Government of the commune, that is the village, for the commune, by the commune, supplemented by government of mankind, for mankind, by mankind. Supposing we have these three levels, or shall we say the government of the people sustained by the commune on the one hand and mankind on the other, this century might prove to have been a glorious one. And so, although all the evidence scientifically examined points in a direction of utter desperation, the creative will makes you see that there is some kind of a bright alley, bright road opening out. It's the creative will that matters. That is why I'm so happy. Although I have failed, we have failed, we are failing, I don't see how the people of India will revolt against all this. They're so submerged. And yet, because we are in that process of creating the revolt, we are satisfied and happy.